Alright, let's get into it. Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. In theaters now, starring Anya Taylor-Joy, Chris Hemsworth, and returning director George Miller. This is a non-spoiler review. I'm going to talk about a couple things at the very, very end, spoiler related, but I'll give a huge heads up and fair warning, don't worry. Most of this review will be non-spoiler. Uh, Anyways, Furiosa, just got to see it, and let me just start with kind of my initial reactions that I had when this movie was first announced, when I heard about the casting, when I heard about, when I saw the trailer eventually as well, and my history with Mad Max. Let me start with that. I'm a huge fan of the original trilogy with Mel Gibson that George Miller also directed. He directed all three of them, and then like 30 years later he comes back and directs Mad Max Fury Road with Tom Hardy, which was astounding. It won swept at the Oscars with visual effects and all the technical awards, and it was an awesome comeback for George Miller, and I was really living it, with the ride of Mad Max Fury Road, and I love everything about it when it came out. I was especially a big fan of Charlize Theron's role as Furiosa, and just love the style of the Mad Max movies as well. Big fan. I think probably would say the first or the second one are my favorites, and much love for Fury Road and Thunderdome. And but yeah, Fury Road is just unique on its own, and was just kind of new and fresh way of getting to see Mad Max in with 30 years in advance of technology and special effects. So that was really exciting, and that was my worry about Furiosa. When I heard about it being announced, I was like, well, how do you do something that great twice and without just feeling too similar? And also, when I heard that Anya Taylor-Joy, or more specifically that Charlize Theron, was not coming back, I was quite disappointed and didn't really understand the reasoning behind that. But George Miller just said that he wanted to cast a younger actress because it was going to be a prequel, and Charlize Theron was heartbroken, and she understood his decision, and in the end, was saying how great Anya Taylor-Joy was. I wasn't a big fan of Anya Taylor-Joy personally. I wasn't rooting for her. I just hadn't seen anything that I liked her in previously. And Chris Hemsworth, I was interested in. Again, I was just kind of more thrown off by a whole new cast, and just didn't give me a lot of hope, and kind of allowed for me to go into the movie with very low expectations. Because other than Chris Hemsworth and George Miller, I had faith in Chris Hemsworth more when I saw the trailer and I saw what they did to him visually with makeup and costume. And that's always one of the best things about the Mad Max franchises is, and more specifically George Miller's mind, is his costume design and his attention to makeup and detail. And I really loved what they, and just from the trailer, what they had done with Chris Hemsworth. And so that got me a little bit excited. But again, just from the trailer, I was like, this just feels visually like the same thing again. but with different people, or different actors more specifically. And but I had some faith in George Miller, that the fact that he was coming back. I like his old school style of directing, like I said, and his mind is very interesting to me. So by the time I sat down and actually watched this movie, expectations were low, and from the beginning, I was immediately swept up in the story, the visuals, and getting back into the world that is the Mad Max world universe. And a really great opening sequence. We do get this is not really a spoiler, but we get an even younger version that we see of Anya Taylor, because it jumps over the course of like 16 years or something like that, this movie, whereas like Fury Road only takes course over a few days. This takes place over many, many years. So we get to see Furiosa at different ages. And the opening actress is incredible. Let me find her. Alila Brown is fantastic. And when they switched over to Anya Taylor-Joy, I didn't even register that they had changed actresses, just because the makeup was so good and the continuity of the actors was quite good. So that surprised me, and I was pleased by that. And by the time we did get to Anya Taylor-Joy, I was so swept up in the movie that I was enjoying it for what it was, and was able to forget about my initial concerns regarding the recasting, and was able to embrace the prequel per se. And my biggest surprise, I think, well, actually it wasn't a big surprise. Again, I think the bigger surprise was that I didn't end up having a huge problem with Anya Taylor-Joy. But I did expect Chris Hemsworth to be good. I didn't expect him to be quite this good, and mixed with George Miller's style and writing was really fun to see, especially because Chris Hemsworth is also Australian, and this is an Australian film. This movie, let me find the quote actually. Chris Hemsworth said, "Someone once said that the Brits have Harry Potter, the Americans have Star Wars, and we have Mad Max. And it's a true statement. That's a great amount of pride and appreciation around what George Miller has built. And his representation, I'm adding this, and his representation for, Australian filmmakers and cinema. And again, that's what I love personally as well about Mad Max." And then, where was I? Okay, back to Chris Hemsworth. Brilliant. Getting to hear him, he's definitely doing an exaggeration and being a character, but it is fun to kind of hear him use his Australian accent, which feels natural and fun, and he feels very comfortable, getting to do something like this, and it feels like it was very meant to be. And I'm tempted to show a clip, but I'm going to save it for the news that I'm going to do, the news video I'm going to do next. But there is a sweet moment where Chris Hemsworth, after this movie was premiered at Cannes on May 15th, to a standing ovation. I feel like they always have standing ovations at Cannes. He got a Hollywood Star of Fame on the boardwalk. Oh my god, I can't talk. He receives Hollywood Walk of Fame star. Okay, I'm not crazy. That's what it was called. And it was a beautiful moment where George Miller comes up and he's talking, and he mentions that years ago on the first Mad Max, when he was looking for bike riders to hire, one of them happened to be Chris Hemsworth's father. And his father couldn't take the job at the time because he was doing school or something. I can't remember. But it was just a small moment, and I love that George Miller remembered that. And then 45 years later, he gets to work with one of his sons, Chris Hemsworth. And I thought that was a beautiful full circle moment, and really added the experience for me when I watched this movie. And getting to see him get to do this was fun. And again, he does kind of steal the show. I thought he did a fantastic job. And what else can I talk about without spoilers? Real quick, do I think this was better than Fury Road? I think it still had that feeling of like, I've seen this before, because the beauty and the specialness of Fury Road was that we had never seen the Mad Max franchise, because the last three were all done in the 80s with 2015 special and visual effects. That was what was so exciting, and I think it's the same effect with Dune. And I think Dune 2 does a good job as a sequel because I think it was bigger than Dune 1. But Dune 1 was still exciting because just getting to see the modern effects. Because the last time we had seen Dune was, well, I guess the 90s or 2000s TV show, but more specifically the 80s movie with 80s special effects, which again has its own, specialness that I love. And same with the Mad Max trilogy. But that was the specialty of Mad Max Fury Road. That's why it won so many Oscars. That's why I don't think this one's going to do the same, at least at the Academy Awards. But it still gives you more of that feeling and adds some nice new elements to it. But visually, effects-wise, I feel like it's not that far of a jump into the future as the gap between Thunderdome and Fury Road. And it definitely feels more like, okay, this is a part of a new franchise, new trilogy. It feels very in line with the effects of Fury Road. Like it didn't feel less, but it didn't necessarily feel like it was that much more. But I thought it was just as good in terms of the technicalities. And George Miller always surprises and adds really interesting small details everywhere with, again, like especially costume, makeup, and set design. He's a genius and really adds to all the worldly elements and allows you to really feel more immersed. And it's a fun, crazy world he creates. And those are the two actors I can mostly talk about. Let's see. Before I get into any spoilers, the budget for this movie was $168 million. Whew. I know that he had written the Furiosa film before they shot Mad Max Fury Road, and they had thought out and planned out all the characters' backstories, but especially Furiosa. So I thought that was cool. And again, one of my favorite things about the first Fury Road was that George Miller storyboarded the entire film before he wrote it. Now, I don't think that was the exact same case with Furiosa, but I know he did a lot of storyboards for Furiosa as well. And he's very much a comic book, graphic novel esque type director who sees things very visually and stylistically, and I love it. This felt very Zack Snyder 300, very Dune at times too, but more stylized and fun and very comic booky, which I love personally. I will add that I think Mad Max fans will enjoy this. I think it is a niche audience. It's rated R, you know, it can be pretty rough at times, but that's part of the Mad Max world. You know, I don't think there were really any surprises for me in terms of graphic content, but I think, you know, I've heard some people saying that there needs to be trigger warnings. I don't think so. I think this generation can handle what's in Furiosa. You know, it's nothing more than what we've seen or knew about in Fury Road or the other Mad Maxes. But I think this is a really fun film. It was more like, yes, I thought, you know, it was going to be very woman-led with Anya Taylor-Joy in the movie being called Furiosa. Albeit Chris Hemsworth does steal a lot of the show, but at the same time, it's very empowering for not just Anya Taylor-Joy's woman character, but many of the other women characters are awesome and badass, and you know, I love how he portrays a lot of them. I could comment on Immortan Joe's whole wives thing, but you know, I'm not defending that. But it's a weird, fucked up world that he's created. And again, we knew about the wives thing in the Fury Road movie too. But I think if you're a Mad Max fan, definitely go check this out. See it on the big screen. It's epic. It's fun. It's gritty. It's really great characters too. I think Anya Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth, their two characters, their entire storyline is really holds the film together, and I was impressed. Again, I think I went in with pretty low expectations, so that may have helped. But overall, was very pleased. I don't think it's for everybody, you know, in the same way that I don't think Mad Max Fury Road is for everybody. I will point out one big difference is, like, I do like that there was a lot more of getting into other parts of the Mad Max world. You know, no spoilers. Just Mad Max Fury Road was very much a chase film in which we got to see a few locations here and there, but I felt like we got to see more in this one. I mean, every Mad Max movie is going to have a chase driving, you know, sequence, but this one had a nice variety, I felt like, and I was pleased in that department, if that makes sense. You know, it wasn't just another big chase in the Mad Max desert. All right. What did you guys think of Furiosa? Are you guys going to watch it this weekend? Let me know what you guys thought down below. Now, before I go, this is where I'm going to talk about spoilers. So now's the time to, let me know what you guys thought down below. If you're going to watch it, I'm going to get into a couple spoilers right now before I head out. And, okay, spoiler alert. Let's talk about a couple moments in the film that I enjoyed and that I had a problem with. So, yeah, the ending was a little threw me off. Like, well, just the whole movie. When you see the ending and how it, again, spoiler alert, stop watching. When you see the ending and it leads directly into Fury Road, I think that was a moment of like, why couldn't Charlize Theron have played that part? Or you already did the super young version of Furiosa. You did the 20, 30-year-old whatever Furiosa, or the teenage Furiosa. Then at the very end, give us a little bit of Charlize Theron. Like, you're already jumping timelines. Like, why not do it one more time? And making it Anya Taylor-Joy leading literally right into a scene for Fury Road did throw me off. Like, why couldn't it have been Charlize Theron the whole time? So that threw me off. The other moment that I did enjoy was the little Mad Max Easter egg, of getting to see the what's his name? What's his last name? Katowski or something? Max Max Rockatansky. And I loved how they did it. It was very small and silhouetted, kind of, and it was just kind of a nice little moment of like, that's where we started, And it didn't need to be about an actor either, which I liked. We just got to see him from behind. Spoiler moments. Let's see. Okay, her arm. I want to talk about her arm. The whole thing with her map on her left arm. I completely thought that, what's his name? So many names, sorry. When he's looking at her arm, when it's still the younger actress, Alila Brown, Erectus is like looking at her arm, and it's right when she like loses the wig and like runs out. I totally thought in that moment he was gonna realize what that was on her arm and cut it off, and she'd have to like get it back or something. I still ended up liking how she lost her arm, and it was very cinematic and played well, but it didn't connect to the whole build-up around the drama with the map around her on her arm. So I felt like that was missing and was not as, doled out as I had hoped for, and at one point I also thought that like we would get to see Max like maybe help her with the metal arm. I thought that would have been cool if he got to like help her in her early days at one point or something like that, but I guess that wouldn't make too much sense, but I thought that would have been cool. Alright, now that spoilers are done. Oh, okay, I want to talk about, I do love that the War Boys came back, and some of my favorite sequences were when they were in the big battle sequences fighting, and just getting to see them face off with Chris Hemsworth's men was awesome. So overall, pretty fucking pleased with this movie. I had a great time. I think Mad Max fans will really enjoy this. Let me know what you guys thought. Again, I don't think it's for everyone. I think, again, it's the same audience that Fury Road had, and if you're a fan, definitely go check it out. If you're into action movies, if you're into post-apocalyptic movies, if you're into, like, I wouldn't say just go see this randomly. I feel like you gotta kind of slowly work your way into the Mad Max genre, but who knows? What do you guys think? But thanks for watching. Let me know what your favorite moments were. How does it rank amongst your Mad Max movies? I don't think it was my favorite, but it was a lot better than I expected. All right. Again, thanks for watching. Have a great weekend, guys.